Boomerang is so good, my boomerang, I made it. Let me teach you, young lady. And then she takes her fan and she's like, bam. This is terrible. The acting and script are woeful. With a $15 million per episode budget, I'm surprised they couldn't afford acting classes. Honestly, I'm really disappointed by the show so far. Everything is so serious. It feels like they completely missed the charm of the animated series, and literally nothing is left a mystery. And my personal favorite, what is with the Fire Nation pricks being insufferable Slytherins in every piece of media? These are only a few things I found on Reddit when I was trying to look up how people felt about the first 2 episodes. Welcome to Must Watch. My name's Austin. I'm your host. And as you might have guessed, we're talking about Avatar: The Last Airbender that just debuted on Netflix about a week ago. I'm only 2 episodes in, and I'm already hearing a lot of negativity, which honestly can't be avoided when you're remaking something like Avatar from an animated series into a live action. I mean, what do you expect? The animation was perfection, and a lot of us grew up on it, which makes it even harder to fight the nostalgic feelings we have for the show versus the animated series. The main gripes that I've been hearing so far are based on acting, pacing, and the lacking of the original charm. So let's talk about it. Avatar is undeniably a masterpiece. It was a staple in a lot of our little nerdlit homes growing up, and the stories and messages have stayed with us for years since then. Recreating that magic is impossible, but that doesn't mean we should just hate on the recreation. The show is stunning. First of all, the air temple looked amazing. I'm extremely surprised by how good Appa looks, because I think having a flying bison with 6 legs is pretty easy to make look awkward. Like, we saw that scene of Aang just flying in like the opening sequence, which I know people hated, but also just look how cringy it looks when he's not flying with his glider. Flying is really hard to make look good, and I think we should probably, for the most part, stick in animations. The bending is phenomenal. I love how it looks. That opening sequence with the earthbender coming around, just bam, bam, bam with the rocks. Bro, that was crazy. That really was like, okay, I'm in here. I'm ready. I'm locked in. Show me what we got. I'm locked. And then, man, Kyoshi Island was beautiful. And no, I'm not just talking about Suki. The whole island was beautiful. Yeah, the actress was pretty, but the island was super well done. The little villages, I loved everything about it. But for those of you ahead in the series, I've only watched the first 2 episodes so far. I'll be back when I watch more, but if you have like gripes or anything that related to later in the season, save those. I don't want any spoilers in the comments for people who are just following along with the series or aren't caught up. This is mainly just for episode 1 and 2. As far as the acting is concerned, I'm gonna be honest, Aang took me a while to get used to, and it's not really his fault. It's just when I see Aang, I expect to hear the voice that I saw for many years in the animated series, and so getting someone else to play him was a little like jarring for me initially, but he's growing on me. We're 2 episodes in. I'm not saying he's like the best actor in the world, but I'm getting the hang of it. I'm getting used to him. Sokka also grew on me. At first, I couldn't figure out what was off-putting, but obviously something was missing from Sokka for me. Like, the Sokka that I loved did not feel like this character, and after thinking about it, I'm pretty sure it's the physical comedy. Most of Sokka and like Iroh, like obviously Iroh's lovable for a lot of reasons, but the physical comedy of those 2 characters specifically were amazing. And I just think if you did that physical comedy with Sokka to the extent that you could do it in the animated series, it just would look so goofy in a live-action remake. So I think toning that down is probably the right decision, but it does make Sokka feel off. Like, he's supposed to be the character that he is, but it's offset by the goofiness that comes with like him tripping or falling or like the little shoulder hunches that he does in the show. Like, all of that was so good, but I just don't think it would be as good live action. So a little off-putting for that character, but good for the show, I think. Again, I'm only 2 episodes in, so we'll see. Really, only 3 actors in the show bother me. It's Gran butchering the Avatar origin story that Katara normally does, in the animated series. Commander Zhao, it may be due to his like little screen time. I'm just haven't had time to adjust to him. But I do not like him. I think he's pretty weak. And Lieutenant G, as small of a part as he has, God, he makes me cringe every time I see him. So I don't know what that's about. I just really don't like him I'm assuming, I just don't like him as an actor, I guess. Everything he does, I'm like, oh, it's this dude again, bro. Like, why? So, he's annoying, but I don't know. He's such a small role, I don't think it'll be that important to me, but we'll see. Suki was a game changer to this series. Her scenes were so good, and I know they've been raving about her beauty mostly online, but her scenes with Sokka were so good. They were so good. One of my favorite scenes was when they were out in the woods and Sokka had his little boomerang and he was like, blue! And he would just take out one little fruit, whatever it is, I'm gonna call it a pumpkin. He'd take out like one pumpkin and he'd be like, oh yeah, my boomerang is so good, my boomerang, I made it. Let me teach you, young lady. And then she takes her fan and she's like, bam! Like all 6 of them just sliced in half. And he was like, well, I'm actually just a warrior in my village. You know, I'm in charge, I'm a protector. And she just like puts him in a chokehold. And that's like Suki's way of flirting. And it was so cute watching Sokka like leave and then Suki start to pout because she thought she was like, you know, engaging in some, you know, little flirtation activity. But Sokka's pride was hurt. So that was, I loved that scene. I don't know if I'm doing it justice. I know a lot of people on Reddit were killing Katara, but the 2 episodes in, I think she's been fine. She's a kid, first of all. And 2, like Aang, it took me a while not to get used to like hearing the voice of Katara. So that, I mean, that's just going to be jarring when you go from an animated series that you love to a live action. Like, the people aren't the same. Like, for you anime fans, like, I remember growing up watching in the mornings, like, Inuyasha in the mornings. And now, as much as I watch sub for every anime since, I can't watch Inuyasha sub because I'm so used to hearing the dubbed voices. And it's the only anime that I watch in dub, when I go back to rewatch it. It's so jarring to hear your character, your favorite characters, like, sound like someone else, even though they're the same person. So I understand that, like, that plays a part. But honestly, I don't think she's been too bad. Maybe she gets worse in, like, the later episodes when she has to do more. She hasn't really had to do anything for the first 2 episodes, so we'll see. So one of the biggest complaints I've seen is about the pacing of the show. And they talk about how, like, the mystery of it's kind of being ruined and things are being over-explained. And to that, I only have 2 things to say. One, they have 20 episodes of the animated series that they're condensing into 8 for the live action. Some things just have to go. We don't have enough time to do a lot of the exploration and the finding out on the way. Like, here's the deal, Aang. You gotta go save the world. Come on, man. We're fighting a war. Let's go. Chop, chop. So I understand that. I know we love the side quest, and that's part of what made Aang great. Like, we're never gonna have Samurai Appa versus Samurai Momo. Like, that stuff's just gone. Unless there's, like, some weird fever dream that happens in the show, and they do, like, a animated version of it for whatever reason, which I highly doubt. But, yeah, I mean, 20 episodes packed into 8. Keep what you're gonna keep, and keep it moving, basically. And secondly, it's not a one-for-one remake, it's a darker show. I mean, they set it up that way. Like, you see the Earthbender dude get captured and just burnt to a crisp. We actually see the genocide of the Air Nation. And as sad as it is to say, I love that scene. I know a lot of people hated it because it was so dark and gruesome and whatever. But we needed that. As a kid, we didn't. We're just there for the cool bending, the fight scenes, the funny side quests, and everything for Aang. But as adults, like, we're here to feel that pain that Aang felt. Like, everyone he cared about was burnt to a crisp. Everyone, bro. Like, as a kid, we were easily just glossing over that and enjoying the ride. But this sets the tone for the show. This isn't the kid show anymore. This is the reality of Aang's life. This makes you feel what Aang's feeling and have more compassion for him. And honestly, I appreciate it. That was a bold approach by the show. And I hope to see more bold choices in the future. The show can't please everyone, so if you're going to try to make the best show possible, just go for it. And that's what they've done so far in the first 2 episodes. I love when Kyoshi, like, took over Aang's body, and they, like, said they can only do that at the shrine, and she just whooped up on those firebenders, boy. Just whooped them. Oh, God, that was so good. I am so excited to see the rest of the series. Like, overall, this show has been super surprising. I would say 2 episodes in, if you're an Avatar fan and you haven't watched anything yet and you for some reason click this video, it is a must watch. Like, I'm giving it an 8.5 out of 10. The only complaints I have for the 3 actors I mentioned before, Gran, Commander Zhao, and Lieutenant Ji, but hopefully I'll either forget about them or get used to them before the show is over. I have to admit, I am a little whiplashed by how fast the show is going, but in the animated show, we had time, and we did all those things, so it makes sense that we're moving quick. I am a little worried that Katara might randomly get OP with waterbending. Like, in episode 2, we saw her, like, splash some homies with some water, and they, like, fell over like they had just been shot, which was pretty hilarious. That was probably, like, the worst of the waterbending. Like, she didn't even throw the water with, like, some gusto. It just looked like they were like, oh, here's a bucket of water, and they fell over. So that could have been better, I think. But I want to see her really get good at waterbending, but I want, like, a really great training montage. I want her to, like, embrace the training, and I hope Aang isn't just like, oh, yeah, I had 1 class, so now I'm a master waterbender. I want more training. I want it to feel like, oh, this makes sense, that they got good. So yeah, what do you guys think of the series so far? If you have finished it, I want to hear your spoiler-free thoughts. Like, take me through your timeline of getting to enjoy the show or not enjoying it. Like, did you start liking it and then hate it? Did you start hating it and then grow to like it? Like, where are we on the spectrum? I want to hear about the good, the bad, the otherwise, because I want to keep doing this in 2-episode chunks, just so I can keep my thoughts straight on, like, what's happening. So, until next time, lights, camera, subscribe.